And so I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to have a music career and it's being handed to you, then why are you being unprofessional and not showing up for work and blah, 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 blah. Well, because her husband had cancer? I mean, maybe I should have shut my trap.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, how are you? Welcome to my channel. My name is Denise. Welcome to the Friday News Roundup. We have so many things to talk about. One of the stories I want to talk about is something I've actually avoided talking about for a little while, even though the story was still in the news cycle, because I was done with it. But this story has more to do with some of the side players and less to do about the main subjects, which I'm over. That story is a story of Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, which I had just lost all taste for. So I was really disappointed by the way things worked out. And I felt like Blake Lively was able to just win because of her fame, her fortune, her money, whatever contacts she had. Somehow she'd been able to manipulate the system to get what she wanted. And that sickened me. And I just was like, I washed my hands of it. I won't talk about it anymore. But what I am interested about is the fact that she won't just drop this thing. Court of public opinion, she definitely lost. But if she would just let it go and stop letting her name be dragged in this in such a petty way where she's still fighting against him when, look, he's not winning. He's not suing you anymore. Like, just move on. But she's over there like subpoenaing Google and trying to drag all these influencers and all these content creators into court and trying to hold all kinds of stuff against all these people for having opinions. Suddenly, they're on the hot seat. They're under the microscope because they deign to open their mouth in a country where we have free speech. I mean, I don't even understand what she's wasting her time for. Think about the money she's losing. The fees, all of this stuff just to be like, I really was harassed. And it's like, we know you weren't, though. We already read all of the evidence that Justin laid out there. We all believe him. None of us think that he called his friend up to ogle your parts while you were playing this poor woman being in labor. None of us think you only had a tiny little bit of fabric over your lady parts while you lay there butt naked for him and his friends to ogle at. Like, your story, your tale of events don't hold up to scrutiny when we find out that you had on a gown, biker shorts, and a pretend prosthetic stomach. You are more than covered up, lady. So all your lies and all of your foolishness and this happened and that happened, we have video evidence to prove that you are a liar. So why do you keep going on and on about it? That's why I didn't want to talk about it anymore. I just didn't want to give that girl any more voice. So, well, the rest of us have just like moved on and like we'll see the stuff about Blake Lively and it's like maybe some of us will like look at it a little bit, but most of it's just like scroll past that mess. You know, we're just not into it. But there's one person who's very into it and so excited because he just got included, and that would be Perez Hilton. Now, I don't think Perez Hilton has been anybody that anyone cared about since maybe 2003. Okay, the last time anybody heard from him, he was roasting Lindsay Lohan over some kind of drunken fit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, who is even caring? Okay, Perez Hilton is like the king of Clown Town. So nobody cares at all about what his opinions are these days, even though he is constantly trying to get on there and be like, I am the original influencer and all this. Okay, whatever you want to tell yourself. So while the rest of us have just moved on, we're so over the story. When he finally got served papers, he was more than thrilled about it. He's like, OMG, finally, somebody cares about me again. Oh, is my voice relevant? Am I actually getting pulled into this lawsuit? Does that mean I'm somebody now? So he has decided to, at every turn of the way, report about this. And he keeps wanting to include himself further in the story by sending letters to the judge. And these letters continue to be things that he will write and then use as content for his next video.
I just took a big L. Hello, my fam. It is Perez, the queen of all media, the original influencer, and your number one source for everything It Ends With Us saga. Just a little bit ago, Judge Lyman from the Southern District of New York filed a ruling in response to my motion to seal or redact my sensitive personal information, like my physical address, phone number, and email. Very sensible, I thought. In my opinion, my protected opinion, my opinion that I can't be incarcerated for to say this judge sucks. This judge is awful. This judge makes me want to vomit. This judge is a disgrace to the legal profession. That's my opinion.
So he'll write these really derogatory disrespectful letters to the judge about, I don't think you did this right, and I can't believe you did that, and this, that, and the other, and criticizing the court. And, well, I think a lot of us have questions about the way the judge has handled things. I think if you've been pulled into the lawsuit, you might want to respect the person who's going to make a judgment against you. So writing letters that are filled with phrases like WTF and LOL, and signing your letters off with XOXO, it's a bad look, because you look like the clown that you are. But let's not let the judge in on that. Let's let him think that you are a professional person behind the scenes, that whatever clown town persona you want to put on when you get on to blog and bash celebrities, carry on like this strange little gnome, let's not let the judge think that's really who you are. But here he is in a professional setting writing these ridiculous letters to the judge, all so that he can make content later about it and like pull you in and be like, you'll never guess what happened now. You'll never guess what the judge said to me now. Yeah, because you wrote a super disrespectful, scathing letter to the judge. If the judge has something to say back to you, it's because you are just embroiling this mess and trying to create drama. And there's all these other content creators and stuff who are legitimately being pulled in and who are acting respectful of the court, even though most of us don't agree with the way things have gone down. It's just kind of pathetic and pitiful that Perez Hilton is trying to act like they're really coming after him, and he'll make videos about how scared he is about, I'm so fearful for my family. I'm so fearful for my kids. I just don't know what's going to happen next. And it's like, well, then why don't you lay low? Why are you being disrespectful? Who in their right mind writes a letter to a court of law and says WTF in the letter? I mean, how did you even pass basic 5th grade letter writing skills? I mean, do they do that anymore? I remember in 5th grade us having to practice writing a business letter. And that ain't how it's done. So it's like, what are you even doing right now? Is nobody proofreading this? Do you have a friend at all in your life who's like, hey, you know what? Maybe skip this time writing a letter to the judge that makes you look like a fool. And maybe you just need to, if you're really worried about your family, quietly go about your business, get this business wrapped up. Because here's the thing, all these lawsuits that Blake Lively is throwing out all over the place and trying to pull people in and subpoena this person and subpoena that person, that's going to have no legs. You're allowed to have an opinion. Nobody can sue you for having an opinion. So she can try all she wants to say, you're going after me. You're trying to get me. No, none of that happened. So enough already of this foolishness. Blake Lively could have revived her career. I truly believe it. But instead, she just wanted to waste her time and drag out all these legalities when it could have just been so wrapped up. If she had just decided to come out and just let it go, I can't even tell you how much she could have rebuilt her career. Because unfortunately, people do have a really, really poor memory when it comes to huge scandals like this. It seems like in Hollywood that if you pay the right people and do the right things, you can get anything covered up. Woody Allen is married to his adopted daughter who he totally groomed. Okay? So I need to know right now, how in the world are you, Blake Lively, going to be plowed under for claiming that somebody harassed you but didn't really, when we have Woody Allen over here who truly took advantage of his adopted daughter, then married her as soon as she was legal, but everyone's still working with that clown. Okay, we've got the Lena Dunhams of the world who've literally written books about how she's over here messing with her little sister, yet she is continuing to make shows for Netflix. There is nothing in Hollywood bad enough for people to turn on you so long as you pay the right people the right respect. I hate the fact that the world is run by evil deviants, but Blake, you obviously want to be a part of this society. You like this system. So work with the system. They would have helped you if you wanted to help yourself, but you don't. You want to pretend like you were hurt. You want to pretend like you're the victim. We all know that you're not, but you're still trying to say, I was hurt, you guys. I know that everyone's ready to move on, but I still have to cry about it. Okay, well, I guess you don't really want to work then. Just say, though, that Billy Bush has a show called Hot Mic. He had what I thought was some pretty insightful commentary on why this whole thing happened in the first place. And it's some general talking points, but I like the way he articulated himself. And he says the whole reason this all came down the way it did is that Blake Lively is just a seething, jealous person who can't stand that if anybody has anything that she can't have, she's going to go after that person. Here's what he said.
I think she had complicated feelings for Justin. I think sometimes she was annoyed by him. I think sometimes she was overly impressed by him. I think part of her was pissed off psychologically that number 2 on the call sheet from Jane the Virgin actually went out, developed material like Reese Witherspoon or some of these other, really good producers, actors turned producers, developed this amazing material. Like you did, and the Gossip Girl couldn't do it. And so she wanted to, it pissed her off. I think she had an attraction to him, and I think she also hated him for his ability to focus that hard and pull this amazing project off all the way through to massive profit. And I think that pissed her off. And she realized, that if she were to do the next movie, she would have to claim SH or something that would be enough evidence to remove him from it.
So I thought that was some good common sense commentary. I think she is a jealous person. I think she was attracted to him. He didn't give her the attention that she wanted when he wouldn't flirt with her or give her attention. Then she started to seethe with anger. And I think she did look at him like, who even are you that you think you can have this directorial debut and that you have this production company? And, I'm just going to make sure that you don't go one step further. I think that if he had been schmoozy right back to her and flirty and maybe even outright inappropriate, I think she wouldn't have gone after him because he would have filled her tank. She would have gotten her dopamine hit and she would have moved on. But she's a nightmare. And she's ruled and reigned by greed. And this is what happens.
What can I change? I could be a different person.
You cannot.
Speaking about a person who just continues to come into the news, let's talk briefly about Katy Perry. I say briefly, actually I have a couple of things that we need to discuss. Because Katy Perry keeps coming into the news, and actually last week I had written down to talk about this and then somehow completely skipped right over it. Last week, Katy Perry was in the news because she's still on this worldwide tour of her singing her old songs. The show is total and utter chaos. And she's got way too many props swinging around. She's running. She's got lightsabers. She's pretending she's in a video game. She's got tons of different outfit changes. She's got so much going on. It doesn't seem to have ever occurred to her that maybe she could just tone everything down a little bit and maybe sing some songs that we thought she was going to sing. I also don't think I knew what this whole tour was going to be about because I thought it was in promotion of her new album, which I think was just kind of an AI mess. So maybe that's why she's going back to all these old songs that people know that she sang, but I haven't seen one clip of her singing any new material. It's all this old stuff that you can tell she's sick of singing, sick of doing, doesn't want to do it anymore. And if I go and pay a bunch of money to see an artist sing their songs, I would like them to sing it, not the audience. I don't want the audience to sing to me. I want the person who I paid to see sing the songs to me. But over and over and over, it's everybody else doing her work for her while she falls down or has a wardrobe malfunction or does lame choreography or gets on one of her crazy props and, it's flipping and falling and carrying her all over the place that she doesn't want to go. The whole thing is a train wreck. Last week, she had gone out to dinner with Justin Trudeau, and that was a big story. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, is she dating Justin Trudeau? And nothing in the whole world would surprise me less because of course she is. The two of them love to pretend that there's these intellectuals who really care about all these big causes, and they love to feel the angst and the care of these causes. And they're both of them super dramatic theater kids.
I love the maple leaf. The maple leaf is my sister. I want to ask you to do something. I want to ask you to believe for 5 seconds. I only want 5 seconds of your life. To believe that just maybe I'm your brother. Okay? 1, 2, 3.
So if somebody were to tell me that these two decided to get together, that is the least shocking relationship she'd ever be in. I never understood why she was with Orlando Bloom. I'll never understand why she was with Russell Brand. This is the first one that makes sense to me. And when I initially heard that they went out to dinner, I was like, okay, she probably knows him. They run in the same circles, no doubt. So she's in Canada. She's going to go see Justin Trudeau. Okay, big whoop. Didn't really think that it was a date until I saw E! News put out this whole map of all the things that they had done. And I'm like, okay, I would not hang out with any guy this much if I was just like, hey, I'm in town, we should get dinner. He's over there walking her dog with her for hours, and they're going and eating for ages. Then they're going and getting a nightcap at another bar. These two are hanging out all evening and into the early hours of the morning. Then he comes to her show with his daughter. He's over there rocking out. He knows all the songs. He knows all the words. It's like, what even is this? It seems like it's definitely, if not like we want to have a relationship, they definitely were hanging out with each other more than just, hey, let's go grab dinner because I know you and I happen to be in town and I want to visit somebody that I know. the fact that she would specifically take out time from her very busy schedule to be with him makes it seem like there must be something there. This tour that she goes on is so lame and so terrible that the only thing I can imagine is that she just wanted to be around a friend who would blow smoke up her butt and make her feel good about herself. Because when you look at the totality of how this tour is going, she must feel terrible all the time. Her crazy tour and her date with Justin Trudeau isn't the real story that I think is the most interesting about Katy Perry right now. Because, well, Katy Perry kind of right now, I think, has this sort of image as a little bit of a pseudo-intellectual bimbo. Somebody who would tell you that, yeah, I'm studying astronomy and astrology because I'm going to be an astronaut. And telling us that she's, going to sleep reading these physics textbooks. Well, she's trying to project this image of being like this real intellectual who has like deep feelings about a lot of things. And she's going to drop some really intense, really insightful critiques about the world to you at these random moments during interviews. Like, you're just supposed to always be shocked by how deep she really is. The rest of the world is thinking you're kind of just a laughable fool. She just seems so dumb and silly all the time. And we're not taking her seriously. And one of the things I think is that maybe we're not giving her enough credit because maybe she really is a Machiavellian nightmare. Meanwhile, while she's tripping all over the stage and going up to space with a little daisy and telling you that you can never know the meaning of life unless you go up to space too, she's also scamming the elderly out of their houses in Montecito. So, as I know you're aware, Katy Perry is embroiled in some big-time lawsuits, and she seems to be driven by this weird greed, and she is in a lawsuit currently that is coming back to court this month in August over something that happened in 2020. Now, let me remind you that in 2020, she bought a house from this elderly man. He was actually the guy who started up 1-800-Flowers. And the elderly man was selling a house in Montecito. Well, he had been really sick and has been really sick since 2015 when he was diagnosed with an illness which requires a lot of pain medication. And he said that at the time of the sale, he was on medication, pain pills, that impeded him from making good judgment calls. When he was in a better state of mind and realized that he had sold the house but hadn't meant to, he then sued Katy Perry. He wanted to stop the sale. Well, he lost that. But then Katy Perry turned around and she sued him because she said this house was in such poor state that I couldn't live in it and I had to have it renovated. So then I had to rent somewhere else for me to live. And I need you to pay my rental fees because I wasn't able to live in the house that I bought from you. So she's trying to sue him to cover her rental fees. But now Orlando Bloom was being pulled in to testify in court this month because, weirdly, Katy is nowhere on any documentation about this house that she purchased in Montecito. Orlando Bloom and some of his business associates created an LLC, and Katy Perry is nowhere on any of this paperwork. So this is not her house anymore, even though she was fighting tooth and nail to get the house. And even though they were trying to pass laws because of the way this whole thing went down, called the Katy Perry law, where if an older person sells their house and there are certain scenarios surrounding that older person's physical health and sort of mental state, that there should be a 72-hour grace period before the sale is final. And so, I mean, so embroiled is she that they're now creating laws about this. And yet somehow her name's not even on any of the documentation about this house. It's all Orlando Bloom's house now. But weirdly enough, who is now renting the house but Chris Pratt? So now he's going to get pulled in and he's going to have to testify about what he knows about the house and the property. So it's big time trouble for Katy Perry. But this isn't the last and only time that she has had problems with the elderly. The other weird real estate issue that she's had is she was trying to buy this convent that was up for sale, and the archdiocese was going to sell it to Katy Perry. But there was a member of the church who was willing to pay $1 million more than Katy Perry was, but they wouldn't sell the house to that church member. And so a bunch of nuns came and they tried to sue Katy Perry. Well, this was a big story because one of those nuns, while testifying in court, passed out and died while she was testifying in court against Katy Perry. I mean, freaky, but also a very elderly woman. This wasn't somebody in the prime of her life. But what is the deal with Katy Perry trying to prey on the elderly and wrest real estate out of their hands? This one is admittedly a little bit different. The property belonged to the archdiocese, not the nuns. But they didn't want the property to go to Katy Perry. They wanted it to go to the church member, and the church member was willing to pay more money. I'm completely confused as to why the archdiocese wanted to sell the house to a celebrity when there was a member of the church willing to give the archdiocese more money for it. Why did they want it to go to the celebrity? The group of nuns that banded together to sue Katy Perry were then bankrupted, and that's a whole thing. I don't understand why Katy Perry is preying on all these elderly people. I don't understand why she's fighting tooth and nail against some of these people. Like, there's not enough property in the world for you. You could go anywhere. Why do you have to bother the 85-year-old man who isn't in his right mind? Leave him alone. And why are you bugging the nuns? I don't know what's going to happen with the Katy Perry situation. I'm sure with the way the courts have proven to be of late, they'll just let her do whatever she wants and nobody else will say boo to her. That seems to be the way of things. Speaking of people who just seem like they're just going on their merry way and nobody's saying boo to them, can we talk about Cynthia Erivo? You guys, this week we saw her performance in Jesus Christ Superstar, and I already said ages ago that I thought it was ridiculous that they were doing Jesus Christ Superstar with a black queer Jesus. I mean, are you even right in the head? But when we end up seeing Cynthia Erivo's performance, I was like, who are you supposed to be? Our savior or what we're being saved from? I'm telling you, who came out of the woodwork but Gollum? Precious! There's something about the way she moves on stage that is super weird. I already think the whole concept of having a queer woman play Jesus is so sacrilegious and offensive. I cannot even. What I don't understand is this. Why is it that everybody says we need to be really respectful of other people's religion? We don't need to do anything that would mock other people's religions. But when it comes to Christianity, it's like everyone has a field day. You know, you can say whatever you want to about Christians. You can do whatever you want to about Christians. If you want to mock Jesus Christ, you want to use his name in vain. If you want to just be an absolute pig when it comes to Christianity, you do you. If you were going to do a musical about Muhammad, would we be over here making Muhammad a queer woman? No. And people would be like, this is very offensive to the Muslims. Okay, well, you know what? As a Christian, I'm offended by this weird little creature who is crawling across the stage and I'm supposed to even pretend like that's Jesus. This whole thing is so ridiculous. And it's so distracting to the point of the play. You don't really care about the integrity of the play that you have if you are casting people in such wild, wacky ways that the play becomes all about who that person is in real life versus what is being portrayed on stage. So when you decide to cast a queer black woman in the role of Jesus Christ, that's what we all begin to notice. When we watch this Gollum-like creature scuttle across the stage and I'm supposed to believe that that's Jesus, not Satan, I am highly confused. I am trying to figure out what is going through the minds of these people. If I was going to make a movie, or write a play, do a film about, say, Queen Elizabeth, am I going to go out and be like, you know who would be a great person to play this? Let's go get Will Smith. Why would I cast a, I don't know, like an American black man in a movie about Queen Elizabeth and expect that that person is going to play this role and we're all just going to watch the film and it's not going to be distracting at all that we have a black American man playing the part of Queen Elizabeth? All this to say, if you cast somebody who is weird, wild, and wacky, you don't really care about the actual production. You just want to make chatter and noise. So while I think it's highly irreverent and sacrilegious to watch Cynthia Erivo pretend to be beaten and then pretend to be on the cross as she stands there in front of a lighted up cross, not even tied, nothing's going on here. She stands there and says Christ's last words as he's suffering on the cross. Well, I'm deeply offended by that. I'm also just annoyed on an artistic level that you would say that you care about a production, but really all you care about is making noise on social media. It's like, did you walk into this project at all trying to do anything with integrity? No. At the same time, Jesus Christ Superstar was a sham of a show anyway. I know there's a bunch of people who think this was a really great show because it showed that Jesus was kind and good. Well, if you didn't already know that Jesus was kind and good, then you never read the Gospels, and that's not something that I expect musical theater to help you out with. Jesus Christ Superstar was a dumb play anyway, But it just becomes that much more of a sham and a fool's parade when we put in queer Black Jesus. I mean, please just stop. Just stop. All right. In other news this week, we are going to get a memoir written by Kevin Federline. You know Kevin Federline. Any of us who cared about Britney Spears back in the day or watched what she was up to in the tabloids know Kevin Federline. She married him and had 2 sons. It was seemingly the greatest shit show of all time. Both the 2 of them looked like a hot mess 24/7. But in the end, he ended up getting custody of the kids. So I always wondered if he was like a nicer guy, a better guy than maybe we realized. It seemed strange that he would get custody of the kids. I mean, obviously Britney was doing really badly, and I don't think she's doing very well right now. But it did make me think, is it just that there's no better option out there anywhere for the kids, that they have to go here? Or did he really prove to be a responsible guy? Well, he's got a memoir coming out. He says he promised it's going to be an absolute blow the doors off. I'm going to tell everything there ever was to know. Any questions you ever had, I'm telling it. I've got nothing to hide. 100% transparency. I'm telling it everything like it is. I'm going to tell you what actually happened. And since we did do the Britney Spears book, I do want to end up reviewing Kevin's book. Maybe not word for word, but we're going to be reading that book. We're going to be talking about that book because I would love to know his side of the story. Of the 2 of them, he seems like he is doing better. Now, I do feel like, as far as we were told, it does sometimes seem like he maybe exploited her money a little bit. There does seem like there were some shady things there. But again, how much do we even know about the Britney Spears story herself? I know she wrote her memoir, but even that got kind of weird. She wasn't being honest about some things that had happened. She told us to a point what she wanted us to know and then wasn't completely honest about other things. So that memoir was not that helpful. Maybe his will shine a little bit more light. I'm excited about it. I plan on reading it, and I really want to know what it is exactly that he says we don't know, because he says we don't know anything. He says we think we know. He's about to tell us how it really was. Well, do tell, Kevin. Somebody who I think really needs to come to terms with the truth this week was Todd Chrysley. Now, you'll remember that there was that show, and I never really understood what the show was. I mean, I never understood who these people were. And then the 2 of them, Julie and Todd, end up going to prison because of tax fraud and stuff. But then Trump let them out, and there was some people who were like really annoyed and upset about it. Like, what is this? And I was kind of one of those people. I'm like, look, if you committed fraud, you should go to prison. And just because you had a show on TV, like, you are as guilty as sin. Anyway, they end up getting out. And of course, people are using that new freedom as a reason to do content on them. And he was recently interviewed, and I feel like, one, he's just so silly and shallow and dumb acting, but also the guy is gay. Okay?
I'm literally burning up with sweat.
Todd, you are a gay man. And I know that Julie has agreed to be your beardlow these many years, but she knows you're gay too. And your kids know you're gay. You are a gay man. Because I don't know any straight man who would carry himself the way Todd does. His mannerisms, the way he speaks, everything that he cares about. I mean, this is not a person who is projecting any sense that he is a heterosexual man. I mean, I know he has a wife and he has kids, but you know what? That is the story as old as time. The gay man who hides behind the wife and kids. How could anyone act like this man and then try to say that he is straight as a board? Stop lying to yourself, Todd. Well, he was directly asked in an interview about an allegation that a business partner had made about him, saying that he and Todd had an affair. Well, a one-time thing. So this interviewer asks Todd about it. And Todd's answer is not a no, even though he wants you to think that it is. Let's watch.
Okay, let me ask you this, and if you want me to take it out, I'll take it out.
You don't have to take anything out.
Okay, he implied that y'all had an intimate relationship.
He did. And our attorney called and he says, "Where are you?" And I says, "Getting off 400. And he says, "I need you to come to my office." "For what?" And he said, "I need to talk to you about something that I think you and I should talk about in person." Mm-hmm. All right. I said, "Well, Julie and I'll be there in a few." He said, "No, I don't need you to bring Julie." Well, there's nothing that my wife can't hear you say. Mm-hmm. We go back to his office and he calls me in there and he says, tells me what I just told you he said, and I said, well, let's just be very clear. If I him once, he'd have come back for seconds.
Wait a minute.
And-
did he allege did y'all only once?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what he
He said it was a one-time thing. It was an experiment. You ain't experimenting on shit.
That's not no, Todd. That's not no. If you say, well, if it had been one time, he'd have come back for seconds. You're not saying that you're not into it. You're not saying, oh, I'm a straight man. You're not saying, I have never had any kind of sexual activity with another man ever. I don't know what that guy's talking about. But for him to say this kind of flirty little, well, if he'd done it once with me, he'd be coming back again for more. I mean, what a gay thing to say anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, that guy is gay. And just, like, own it, man. Enough already with this. Other people who need to own their decisions and actions would be Denise Richards. Okay, Denise Richards had come out just recently, we talked about it, where she says that she had this black eye and she was posting pictures all over the place from like 5 years ago when she says that her ex-husband had punched her in the face and look what he did to her, and that she'd been keeping secrets all along, that he was an abusive partner. We watched on video him telling her that he was going to basically punch her lights out if she kept running her mouth. So he doesn't seem like a loving partner. But now we get another video of her exiting the ex's house with a fresh black eye. And I'm like this right now with you, Denise Richards. Stop it. If you want that guy to stop laying hands on you to the extent that you've told everyone he's hurting me, then you willingly walk into the abuser's house. What are you doing? What are you doing? I care deeply about the fact that this person is laying hands on you. Unacceptable. If there's anything in this world that I will throw down about, it's a bully. I cannot stand it. I'm not here for it. Okay? And if he is hurting you, we stand behind you, but you have to help yourself. Stop going to the abuser's house. Okay? Stop it. For my final story, this is actually something that I feel like I need to talk about, mostly because I feel like I need to apologize, and I don't want to be one of those people who is unwilling and unable to say when I got a story wrong. I don't think I got a story wrong, but I think I didn't have enough compassion about the story, and so I want to make sure that I set the record straight on this. Terrible news came out yesterday that Kelly Clarkson's ex-husband has passed away at the age of 48. He had cancer. Now, you know, we've covered this story, and I have done so scathingly, in which I have called her unprofessional, and I said, you know, why aren't you coming to work? Why are you not showing up for work, to the extent that they didn't have time to hire a new host for your show, and so they're having to ask the guest to then host the show. I had major questions about that. I said that I thought it was unprofessional that she suddenly wasn't doing the Vegas show anymore, when she had said that she wanted more than anything to have a music career again. And so I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to have a music career and it's being handed to you, then why are you being unprofessional and not showing up for work and blah, 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 blah. Well, because her husband had cancer? Maybe I should have shut my trap, you know? And apparently he's been battling cancer for 3 years. And I was running my mouth being like, well, why does she even care about that guy anymore? Because, I mean, she sure couldn't say enough bad things about them during the divorce. Well, you know what? Her kid's dad is dying. So maybe that's why she cares. And maybe when she looks at this man through the eyes of her children, whose father that is, she could find some care and concern about what happened to him. But then I wanted to run my mouth and be like, show up for work, girl. Now, here's the thing. I think the sad reality is that when hard things go on in our life, the rest of the world doesn't stop for us. And sometimes we do have to deal with tragedy and reality at the same time. And sometimes we have to go to work when we're sad, even though we wish we could just shut out the entire world and just exist with the grief. I don't know if the way things played out professionally is the way she probably wanted it to. I don't know if there was a part of her that felt so grief-stricken and depressed and discouraged at the loss of her children's dad that she was struggling to get to work on time or at all. Maybe there was better communication that could have gone down, where she could have said, hey, this is happening. We've got to book a separate host for the show for the duration of this month because I can't make it. I need to be there. And, I don't know the world of Hollywood. It does seem to be a really crazy, mean, bitter, unkind, uncaring, vicious world where the show must go on, and to hell with your dying ex-husband. You didn't like him anyway, so what do you care? But maybe she just decided to give the middle finger to the industry and go and be with her dying husband, which quite frankly was probably the right decision. So all of this to say, as usual, I was running my mouth without knowing what's going on. And maybe this is a lesson to me to maybe don't criticize people so strenuously. If the man is so sick that he just recently died, he has been sick for a minute. And I didn't know the extent. I didn't even know what he had. I mean, I remember in one video being like, do we even know if he's really that sick? Well, apparently he was, because he's dead. So anyway, I'm sorry that I was so flippant about it. And I really hope that her kids and she are able to find the support that they need. It's just such a loss for her kids. And having had a parent that also died of cancer, I know what a loss that is. And so I am praying for them. I hope that they are able to surround themselves with family, and that the kids are able to be surrounded by great male role models who can serve in that dad position for a little while. And I hope that Kelly Clarkson finds another mate, another spouse that can help her raise the kids and just be a support system for her and the kids. So those are my prayers for her. And we do tell a lot of jokes and we have a lot of laughs, but I'm sorry if I had a laugh at her expense, knowing that she was under duress, and maybe I didn't discuss it in a way that was as positive as I could have. All right, well, that is the end of our show today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I will see you next week. We're not reading a book, so we're just talking. We're just catching up about this and that. I do have a story time coming up for us that are going to blow your socks off. Some of you may know this story. I think the majority of you do not know this story. And it's unbelievable. It's also going to deal with things that are going to ask you to really stretch your minds and to allow for possibilities that may never have been something you contemplated. It certainly asked me to expand my mind into territories I had not contemplated. So expect that to come out on Wednesday. We'll talk before then, but Wednesday is my storytelling day. So expect for that to come out then, because I really wanted to talk about another story today revolving Machine Gun Kelly, and a story that has come out about him not eating anything for days and days, and how he doesn't really eat at all. But in order for me to talk to you about that story, I have to tell you about this other story first. And so there's just lots of little things that we need to discuss together. So I'll see you next week for more content like this. We are officially done with the book we were reading, so we won't have a book for a while until I find one that I really want to share with you. And until then, it's just going to be us hanging out. All right, I'll see you guys later. Thanks so much for spending Friday with me, and we'll talk soon. Bye.